Let's speak now to Dr. Mads Gilbert, who's an emergency medicine doctor and professor who's provided healthcare in Gaza for more than 30 years and joins us now from Oslo. Mads, we've spoken before several times, but, you know, when you think of stories of starvation and malnutrition, typically, you know, it's natural disasters like drought, say, that come to mind. But in the case of Gaza, it's entirely man-made. Israel is using starvation and malnutrition as a weapon of war by just, you know, blocking all humanitarian assistance from reaching Palestinians in Gaza. And the effects are devastating, as we've just seen.
Absolutely. You're totally right, Nick. And this has not been going on only for the last 2 months. In fact, it started in 2006 when the siege and blockade of Gaza was initiated, and Barak said that we are putting the Gazans on a diet, not to starve them to death, but to keep them on a diet. And from that on, for the last 18 years, it has been a severe limitation of food entry into Gaza, resulting in widespread anemia among children, widespread stunting, meaning that the children are too short for age, and other problems. Now, after the 7th of October, of course, the siege has been enforced much more harshly, and for the last 2 months, it's been a total blockade. But this is a common strategy of the Israeli armed forces, the occupation forces, to starve, to thirst, and not at least to deny sick people proper health care. Dr. Youssef Aborish, the Minister of Health, told me the other day that they have counted 400 kidney failure patients who have died because of lack of access to dialysis. But of course, the situation now is extreme, but it is not new. Already in December 2023, the IPC, which is the international organ that is surveilling food insecurity, warned of an imminent food crisis and a famine in Gaza. So while the politicians have been talking and talking and talking, the West has done nothing. The Arab governments have done nothing, next to nothing, and the starvation has been going on. So this is part of a cynical and planned extermination of the Palestinian people through starvation.
Can we understand a little more of this with this weapon of war? Tell us about malnutrition and what it does to the body, especially children.
Well, you don't have to be a professor of medicine to understand that once you don't have food for your family, your first reaction is, of course, desperation and a severe trauma not to be able to feed your family, your children. Then, of course, it affects the muscle mass. You start eating up your muscles. It affects the immune system. It weakens the immune system. It has severe effects on long-term development in children, both physical and the cognition. And it leaves scars inside the blood vessels, which will last for the rest of your life. So starvation is a very, very serious medical condition that can not only be reversed by putting on the food and water supply again, because it leaves scars, so to say, in your body, your organs, and your bodily functions. And on top of that, of course, it is the horrible psychological trauma, as I said, of not being able to feed your family. Now, in Gaza, this comes on top of a situation where the hygiene is very, very difficult because of lack of water, soap, bathrooms, showers, everything. And the congestion of people being packed into even smaller spaces in Gaza makes, infectious diseases spread much more easily, like hepatitis, like lice, like skin infections. And that, combined with the starvation, will make these normally quite easily treatable conditions life-threatening, actually. Right. So this is a concerted effect.
Yeah, you mentioned starvation there. Is malnutrition a precursor to starvation, or are they two different things?
No, it's a sliding scale from malnutrition through starvation, and when you have it and you define it by numbers and you measure this, you end up with famine. And the IPC, which is the international body classifying this, has been warning throughout these last 19 months of an impending famine in Gaza. And in fact, 400,000 people are now in the catastrophic level of that gradation of malnutrition. So food insecurity means that you don't know in the morning how to feed your family for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Starvation is when your body is not getting enough protein, fat, and sugar to sustain the bodily functions. All of this is all too well known to anybody who is updated on modern medicine. So this is a premeditated, very cynical tactique of getting rid of the Palestinian people, because this is not about the hostages. This is about the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, to force people to leave. And we've seen the last 24 hours that they attack the food distribution points, and they even attack the Palestinian police in Gaza, trying to stop the criminals who are attacking and robbing the food supply. So this is all coming together as a policy of starving the people. And if you allow me, Nick, let me just quote what the Palestinian philosopher and writer Edward Said said in 2003. He said, quote, "In fact, I cannot think of any other country on earth that, in full view of nightly television audiences, has performed such miracles of detailed sadism against an entire society and gotten away with it," unquote. This is pure sadism, because it is hitting the weakest, the children, the women, the pregnant, the sick, the elders, and it's systematically applied.
Okay, Mads, it is a devastating, as we see from those pictures, a devastating, desperate situation. And the chilling thing is that food aid that could solve this problem is just a few kilometres away, the other side of the border. Mads, appreciate that. Thanks very much indeed. Mads Gilbert speaking to us there from Oslo.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.